We most likely graduated the best quarterback class in SEC history in 2013 with Johnny Manziel, Aaron Murray, A.J. McCarron, and the like. And I think it showed on the field last year. The SEC probably still the best conference in college football, but it's a lot closer than it's been in recent years. We're going to talk quarterbacks. We bring in Stephen Garcia, former South Carolina quarterback from 2008 to 11, to help us break it down. We start in the SEC Western Division. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with Alabama. Of course, Blake Sims, you got to have some level of respect for what he pulled off at Alabama, waiting in the wings for all that time, and you can kind of relate to that. You were in the starting job, you got yanked quite a few times, you were back and forth, and so you got to respect a guy like Blake Sims that was able to sit and wait, be patient, and pay his dues for 4 years, and then he got the starting job as a senior.
Oh, absolutely, man. He was very impressive all season long, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, the guy had one of the best years statistically for Alabama, as a quarterback, and the fans during some portion of the season were calling for Jacob Coker to go in. So, I mean, it's a very tough position, to play, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think he played very well all season long.
Yeah, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, as you mentioned, 7 rushing touchdowns. Jake Coker, he was supposed to be the guy last year, got beat out for the job, but it appears to be his to lose. He comes into his senior year. Of course, he first enrolled at Florida State, so we haven't seen a whole lot of Jake Coker. Have you seen much? What's your impression of what he brings to the table?
I haven't seen him a whole lot of game action, and the times that he did play, it was kind of mop-up duty. So I mean, you can't really consider that too much. But I mean, he's got all the intangibles. I mean, he's a big guy, is 6'4", 240. From what I hear, he's got a really strong arm. So he's got the intangibles. We'll see if he can put together, get the I think a year under his belt, and watching Blake Sims play, and a year under his belt with Lane Kiffin's offensive system. I think that'll definitely benefit him. And like everybody says, I mean, he's got the arm strength. So we'll see if he can put it together, though.
All right, Stephen, another school in the Western Division that loses a veteran quarterback is, of course, Bo Wallace. He had his detractors, making some mistakes in some crucial situations. At the same time, that the guy, one of the more prolific quarterbacks in school history, comes off a season with 22 touchdown passes, takes him to the Peach Bowl. Just before we move on with Ole Miss in 2015, your impression of Bo Wallace's career at Ole Miss?
I never really understood the whole bad Bo, good Bo, and Dr. Bo. I never really understood. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it either, though. But I think the guy played very well. He had a few games, or really just a few plays that he had some boneheaded throws and plays. But I mean, that's part of being a quarterback. I mean, I like Bo Wallace a lot. I think he's a gunslinger. He played the way that I play. I mean, he has a lot of confidence in his ability and in his arms talent, and I think an NFL team will definitely give him a shot.
I think that's awesome that you bring that up, Stephen, because that's one of the things we try to dispel around here when we do our own video segments here. Is a lot of national groupthink. Somebody gains a reputation, and that's all you hear about, and that's all we know about Bo Wallace. And obviously, he did a lot of great things with the Rebels. We've got a sophomore, a couple of them, and Ryan Buchanan and Devontae Kincaid. They both threw about 20 passes last season. Didn't do a whole lot. Don't know if you know about much about Kincaid and Buchanan, but they're going to be fighting for this job.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a little of them play in the butt whipping they took against Arkansas. That was a tough game for Ole Miss's offense. So I mean, I can't really judge them by that game. And then I mean, I don't know if Chad Morris, or not Chad Morris, Chad Kelly or Swag Kelly, whatever his name is, if he's still at Ole Miss or not. But from what I understand, I mean, he's a pretty good player. He says he's the best quarterback of all time. So we'll see if he'll live up to that reputation. But we'll see if he gets a chance to play over there.
Good stuff. One other veteran quarterback who did a lot of good things, of course, Auburn's Nick Marshall, known for the running rather than the passing, and I think that plays out in terms of his NFL draft status as a cornerback. But hey, the kid was a leader. He's a dynamic playmaker. He's gone. Jeremy Johnson, this kid that we've seen throw it around a little bit. He got the start in the opener against Arkansas. He's performed very well. Man, he's a big kid, a strong kid. You got to be impressed with what little we've seen out of Jeremy Johnson, who's going to be a junior this year.
Absolutely. you know, the few people that I talked to, you know, from the Auburn area, I mean, they're excited about him. You know, he's not exactly the best runner, you know, compared to Nick Marshall, but I mean, he's got a huge arm. You know, knows the offense. Yeah, I think that he's gonna thrive in the offense. So I think that now that he's kind of considered the starting quarterback, that'll kind of elevate his confidence and his work ethic. So you know, I'm expecting him to have a very solid season next season.
Yeah, Johnson, 12 for 16 for 243, 2 touchdowns, no picks against an Arkansas defense that we didn't know how good it was at that point. That turned out to be one of the better ones in the
Yep.
SEC for the rest of the year. Now let's talk about all the guys coming back, and I believe it starts with Dak Prescott at Mississippi State. You know, Stephen, the one thing I want to point out here, had an exceptional season, 62%, 27 TDs, 11 picks, 14 rushing touchdowns. When he faced the better competition, though, late in the season, and the stats are always going to come down based on just the defense that you're playing, but 8 TDs, 9 picks, last 6 games if you take out Vandy and the FCS opponent, Tennessee Martin. So your thoughts on Dak Prescott?
Yeah, he was my mid-season Heisman winner. I mean, the guy was playing lights out. You know, it seemed like he was making a highlight every single game. But you know, as you said, as the competition sort of increased, you know, he started struggling a little bit, and you know, I think he was just pressing a little bit too much and trying to make too many plays, and you know, you can't blame the kid for that. I mean, you know, it's nice not to throw interceptions, but sometimes you know things happen, and you know, when you play against the tough defenses like he was playing against, I mean, stuff happens. So I would say overall, though, I was pretty impressed with him, and you know, I was kind of shocked that he decided to come back for his senior year, but I think Mississippi State's going to be very good with him coming back.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty good backup situation with Damian Williams, who's going to be a junior. We saw him step into it in 2013 against Alabama and Arkansas and play pretty well in those games. Texas A&M, Stephen, a situation where Kyle Allen got thrown to the fire once Kenny Hill kind of soured after the Heisman candidacy was launched in Game 1. Kyle Allen, 62%, 16 TDs, 7 picks. What amazed me about him was he had the rough go against Louisiana Monroe, and then we thought, what's going to happen when he goes to Jordan-Hare Stadium and he pulls off the big upset there and really progressed the rest of the season.
Absolutely, I was very impressed with him. You know, true freshman. I mean, that's tough to do in college football at any level, and you know, to do it in the SEC. I mean, that's just even more tough. So, you know, my hat is off to Kyle Allen, and you know, that was a very interesting deal, man. As soon as Kenny Hill went from Kenny Hill to Kenny Trill, you know, his season kind of went downhill. So, you know, it's I don't know, man. It's tough to say, but you know, he'll be fine wherever he ends up going. But yeah, Kyle Allen. I mean, he's going to be a hell of a player for the next few years.
Yeah, we've actually heard some rumblings about Kenny Hill going to TCU once Trevon Boykin moves on. It could be his job. And then we've got a 5-star in Kyler Murray coming to Texas A&M, and you would think he'd be in the mix, not necessarily this fall, but on down the road. Brandon Allen, Stephen, could be one of the most improved quarterbacks in the conference. Didn't have a great season, but if you really consider the issues he had the season before, very difficult year for him and the Hogs, and then he bounces back. 20 TDs, 5 picks. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was very consistent all season long. You know, he had the one interception against Alabama that really hurt him at the end of that game. But overall, I think he played very soundly. You know, when you have the offensive line that he had in the running game that Arkansas has, you know, it's a lot easier. It makes your job a lot easier as a quarterback when you can you know, turn around and hand the ball off a few times and you know, get some positive yards and work on the play action. But you know, he's going to come back for a senior year, and you know, I think Arkansas is going to be a hell of a team next year. You know, I think they're not going to surprise anybody next year, so they're going to have to remember that. You know, they may have a slight little target on their back, but if their bowl game's any indication on how good they're going to be, I mean, they're going to be pretty damn good next year.